Okay, and we are live. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to a new Cornerstone Live. Yes, staying consistent and making sure that we keep giving your value on, again, a third extension of the MCO. So that only means that we have to go back into your databases and make sure we bring in more valuable guests, more people, and boy, do we have a special guest for our Saturday night. You know, when I was a young kid, I always used to remember, Saturday Night Live was always, the favorite shows were always on Saturday evening, right? The greatest shows on television were always on Saturday evening. So we kept this guest especially on Saturday evening because he has so many things to share with us. He has so many great things that he has been doing in the past 2 weeks. So let's slowly get started. Our special guest for tonight is somebody that is, he's actually a leader, manager of what we call within Cornerstone the ILB department. ILB stands for Industrial Land and Building Department. A very unique department. He will tell you all about it, what happens in that specific department, a lot of things going on in there. And on top of that, we also have some great things to share with you, because he also not only focuses only on the business, but he actually also in the first week of the MCO did a great charity initiative, and he's also going to share that with you tonight. What I really felt was very inspiring what he did, so he's going to share about that too. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please help me welcome Lionel Saw. Lionel, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Taco. Thanks for inviting me on the show. Really feel very privileged for you asking me to come on board and giving some insights on our team. Thank you for the invitation, Taco.
Of course. For us, it's a true honor to have you on board, Lionel. Very great. So getting started, right? Just making sure that everybody's getting on board right now, and more and more viewers will be coming in. But so just let's start very simple. How have your last it's now I think 25, 26 days since the MCO started. How has it been so far for you?
I think ever since the MCO started, the first week there was a bit for us to do, because as you know, our team has been heavily involved in the sales of land, especially agriculture land out of Klang Valley. A lot of our farmers were actually in contact with us. Our clients were mainly in the agriculture side. They were actually very concerned, and they were very worried. And in fact, one of our clients, he was so worried that he was thinking about giving up the purchase of his land, totally, all that kind of negative stuff. But soon after that, after a couple of days, what happened was that our seller, one of our seller, who has a lot of land, he contacted me, and he asked us whether we're able to do some sort of charity work that would involve some of the farmers, giving out excess vegetables to the frontliners, to the poor folks out of Klang Valley. And I thought, yeah, that would be great to do. It's something for us to also want to contribute back to society, to help our clients and all the good stuff, right? So actually, the first 7 days, me and my team, we were busy coordinating all of this, and thankfully, everything went very smoothly, very well. Even though there were some hairy moments, because we had to coordinate not only within the farmers, but with our management team who was handling the council, organizing, all that kind of back-end stuff. So I would say until the actual delivery on that day itself was concluded, we were really on our phones from morning until 12 midnight, just to make sure that we get everything right, you see, because it involves so many various parties. Yeah, so I would really like to give the big thanks to my team. As you know, they are like David, Jolene, Susan, John, Frank as well. Everybody played a part. I think, yeah, we did something good. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, you definitely did something good there. I heard some great stories from that end, and such an amazing initiative And well, we will go deeper into that a little bit later. But as you were very busy within the first week, but how have things been personal for you? You know, have you felt that things were very busy, or do you actually now get some time to get some time for yourself? Because I know that you travel quite a bit, you know, like, because you said it's all outside of Klang Valley, right? So now you're back home. Is that a big difference?
It is, Taco. That's a little bit embarrassed to say this, but the downtime was actually a little bit good because, as you know, our team spend like 4 or 5 days in a week away from home. So a lot of sacrifice by my team members, you know, ourselves. So I think this break, the COVID-19 aside, I think is sorely needed as well. You know, it gave us an actual reason. No one can actually say that we are not doing our work, right? But it's a needed time, you know, reflect on things, you know, just to calm ourselves down personally, spend some time with the family. Yeah. That's a positive side of it.
Well, there's nothing wrong. I mean, it's well deserved, Lionel. I know how much you traveled and how many days you were from home, right? And of course, you know, like I say, it's a sacrifice. But you have done so many amazing things over the last year, basically. Some amazing big deals coming in, right? But before we get there, right? You know, for all the people that are watching right now, could you maybe explain in very simple wording, you know, what is exactly the ILB department within Cornerstone? Could you explain that to our audience?
Sure. Basically, our team, we are very focused on industrial products, properties, land, you know, development land, whether be it agriculture or residential or commercial or industrial land, as well as building sales. So our team is really focused just on this, and we do sales as well as rental as well. We are a highly focused team just on this area. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, that is, of course, a quite. Would I be correct by saying that it takes a certain type of agent to basically work in the industrial land and building department? It's not like your regular agent, like in residential, I guess, right?
That's a very good point, Taco. But majority of my team members are actually new. They come from various fields. I have one who came from a GLC, doing communications. There's one more that's doing maybe a little bit related. He's doing in the construction line, renovation. One more an architect, and then there's an electric engineer. And one more at the call center. So on saying that, you need to have a certain type of character. I think that the word here would be a committed person, a committed individual.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, so before we move forward, I would like to invite, because many people are watching already, you know, if you have a question for Lionel, either a question to him or about his industrial land and building department or anything related to the real estate, feel free to ask your question right now in a comment box. We will be super happy to give that answer. I mean, Lionel obviously will give that answer, but you know, any question, feel free to put it in the comment box. Well, first a question for me. So industrial land and building. Let me just ask you, like, how did you end up there yourself, Lionel? You know, how did you start in the real estate? How did you get into this specific niche type of department?
Okay, I started real estate probably more than 10 years ago, sometime around 2006. When I first got in, obviously at that time, a lot of us, we were just into residential sub-sales, you know, the rental, that kind of stuff. But soon after, maybe about 3-4 years later, the project marketing started to pick up in the market. And I spent quite a bit of time there, probably about 8 years or so, 8-9 years or so, doing project marketing. But about 2 years ago, I think I was doing my last 2-3 projects, and I felt that I wanted a bit of a change. And over the years, I had developers asking me for land bank, you know, but was never really into it because I never really had any time. But I sat down and I was thinking about it and kept meeting up with Yao Long numerous times. And he was asking me, he was throwing me the idea, hey, should we do this? Should we set up a very focused, specialized team? And yeah, we talked about it, and that planted an idea. And yeah, and one day it just clicked. I think we went out to see a client of his, and we started to talk a little bit on land development and all this. And I think we both figured that, you know, we could probably do something together. And that's how I actually ended up starting the ILD team about a year ago. Yeah, that's the backstory.
Wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. And how has it been so far? So now you've been doing that for 1 year. You know, great initiative, very niche. It's very, very focused. Yeah. How has it been so far?
I think as in anything in life, the beginning stages have always been very difficult, very hard, very steep learning curve. As I think one of my team member, John, he always likes to say this, it's like learning to fly a plane and build it at the same time. You know, I will always remember his statement, and I would agree with him and say that, yeah, you know, it's part, and it took a lot from us. It has gone very well. After the 6-9 months, we found our footing. We understood the market. Our knowledge got better, obviously, you know, by being so focused in it, and results started to come in. So I'm proud to say that I think almost all my team members, you know, have achieved, I think, at least the minimum of their expectations, and hopefully, you know, we'll be able to continue from here.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. You were just mentioning about a word that you said, commitment, right? I feel that your team is taking commitment to a whole new level, right? You know, like you said, most of your team is usually away about 4 or 5 days a week from their home, right? Staying in a different place. And mostly what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can fact check me here, is that they're basically from home because, of course, they have to be on location, but also because they take the relationship building part of their business very serious. They have very important meetings in the evening. They take their clients out, make sure that they really are closely connected. Could you share a bit about that?
Sure. I think you're right. Reason being why we are out, you know, so many days in a week and we have to stay outstation is that, you know, it's just not the viewings or dealing with the clients with their issues and all this in the day. But at night time, we spend a lot of time having dinner with their family members, you know. We really get very close to the community with our clients. I think one thing that in this past 10 years or more that I've learned is as an agent, we do need to develop strong relationship with our clients, whether it's the buyer or our seller, you know. This is a people business at the end of the day, you know, and this is what's going to keep us in business for the long term. If we're just going to treat every client as a one-off deal and we're just going to move on to the next line the next week and we don't develop deep ties, you know, it will carry us, it will bring us some momentum, you know, some short-term gains, but long-term is always about relationship with our seller, relationship with our buyer, relationship with ourselves as well. You know, when we spend time outstation, we also spend a lot of time together. And there's a lot of team bonding, team building. We're like a family. We become like a family. Everybody's issue is shared, you know. If there's a burden that we can help, you know, we will try to elevate their burden together. Obviously, there will be times that we will not agree with each other's methods, or there could be something that will just rub the other person the wrong way. But you know, we've learned to go around that and understand each other better. And at the end, you're like a family. Sometimes you may not like what one family member, but because it's family, no matter what, you will still be there for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, obviously, because you guys spend so much time together, traveling, being together away from home, you kind of have like your own second family, right? During the week, that, and then that kind of bonds together closer and closer with each other. And I can say, not going too deep into details of numbers, but that has also really given you some results, right? Because you said it was a steep learning curve in the beginning, but over the past few months, your team has been really, really bringing in some extraordinary results. Am I correct?
Yeah, yes, that's true. That's something I think my team members should be proud about. They are going into not too much detail into their income, but at least I know that their gross figures are more than 5 figures a month. They are consistent in the income. I think they average more than most of the agents in the market. That's something that I was very concerned. I've always been concerned about is that I need to ensure that the team members, they do earn sufficiently, and even during the time of this MCO, at least they can take their foot off the pedal. They can take a bit of a short break. Their income is stable, is assured. So at least I would say that the sales has been strong enough where I think maybe even coming back 3 months or 6 months later into the market will not be a real issue for us.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, that's very steady. Let's talk a little bit about managing a department like that. You don't have a big team, you have a small team, but that is of course very obvious because it's a very dedicated, very niche kind of department, right? Can you explain a little bit, what is your role as a leader managing an ILB department? What is your specific role in there?
I think generally as a team leader, we always have to lead the pack. We have to ensure that we have a very strong and clear vision. We need to do things with clarity. We need to also be able to have outstanding commitment. Team member can have 90% commitment, but as a team leader, we need 100%. Because at the end of the day, everything rises and falls on leadership. To ensure that the team moves smoothly, of course, the basics need to be there, which is basic education, basic knowledge, hand-holding to a certain point, patience, extreme patience. Whatever it is, we have to understand that, agents are new, team members are new, everyone comes from a different background. We have to understand our roles deeply, but most important, we have to ensure that we do our best to make sure that our team members can survive, they can close deals. If there's a problem, we have got to be on top of it. To be a team leader is a lot of responsibility. It's not an easy thing. So I would like to also thank all the team leaders, out there in Cornerstone and out there in the market. It's not a highly appreciated role, but it is a critical role. Team leaders play an important role because at the end of the day, the long-term survivability of an agency and its agents really depends on the team leader. So team leaders like myself have been around for a while. We have gone and seen the ups and downs. We have made many mistakes ourselves, but it is a really like a best way to say it is like a father in a family. You have to make, you can't make all the right decisions all the time, but you got to make some hard decisions, right decisions, and may not be so comfortable, but we still have to do it at the end of the day. Yeah.
Wonderful. I really like how you put that, as a leader, maybe not always very appreciative, but very critical, like you said, right? Very critical role. And as a leader, I think you make enough mistakes to find that thin line in what a leader really needs and sometimes what is not a good leader, right? You see that also all the time. So Lionel, coming back to I think this is a question that many people may wonder, right? Land, selling land? I know we talk a lot about selling condos, selling landed properties, things like that, right? There's a specific way of doing that, but land, I know, is very different, right? Because you deal with different types of investors, people that buy land, right? How complicated is it to buy and sell land? Is that a complicated process?
On the surface, it will look very simple, but in actual fact, there are a lot of things that we have to look out for, and we have to be very detailed. Anybody can take a piece of land, any agent rather can take a piece of land, market it, but to actually close the deal, there's a lot of underlining requirement. I think knowledge and experience is paramount. If anybody who wants to go into land deals, my best advice is that study the basics, understand the basics, understand your target buyers, do your research, work closely with them, get into their mindset, understand why they would want to buy a piece of land, what kind of value that the land can unearth for them. I think that way one can actually progress from just being someone just marketing land to someone who's really focused on land, where you can start to close and convert deals.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Okay, very good, very good. What is that the same also for like selling a building, commercial building, or even industrial, right? I mean, you're talking about bigger numbers here. That is a straight fact, right? But I'm thinking also you're talking about way more, like you say, information and kind of details that go with it. That as an agent you have to be like, your liability is part of that transaction, right? So you have to be more careful, I guess, right?
Definitely, Taco, you're right. For industrial sales or land sales, or be it for building sales, there are a lot of technical and legal matters that we need to be on top of, that you will not see it coming until it's too late. So doing our own due diligence, doing our paperwork, our homework, our preparation work is key. My team, they spend a lot of time on their own, going to the land or industrial locations, to really understand everything before we even proceed to even meet or market the products itself. Yeah. Wow. So yes, you're absolutely right. A lot of technical, fine details.
Okay, very good. So let's say, for example, right, today I would say I want to join your team, right? I say, Lionel, I want to be part of your team, right? And you say, okay, well, I'm Lionel, I'm the head of industrial land and building department. I say, oh, okay, nice to meet you. What is it the first thing that you would tell me to be able, so that I can become part of your team? What is the first thing that you would tell me about the way you work, or about your department?
I think I would tell you, Taco, the first thing is that you got to be comfortable with me and my team members. I think okay. If you're going to do this long term, always believe that we got to be comfortable with each other. I think with that first step, we'll be able to do great things together. So we're going to have a beer first, Taco, with me and the team.
That's good. Let's loosen up a little bit first, right? Yes. Okay. So moving forward, right? I'm giving a chance to let people ask some questions. People at Cornerstone or outside, if you have a burning, pressing, or just interesting question that you would like to ask Lionel, please feel free. Lionel told me before we got started, he says, I'm actually really looking forward to get some questions from the team, because I usually don't really get to spend much time with everybody because I'm always so far away. So now everything is virtual. I hope I get a few questions. So Cornerstone, come on, let's give us some questions for Lionel. And the first one is already in by our great leader, mentor, and managing director Yao Long. He's asking specifically, is it a good time to purchase land or industrial property right now? Do you believe at this time in the MCO, or maybe just after the MCO, that for investors is a good time to buy land or to buy industrial property?
I think based on my last 10 years experience, buying property or anything of this sort, there's always a good time to buy when the market is as a slight dip in it. More so, whenever an investor is ready, it's always the right time. Whether it's the MCO, after the MCO, or during the MCO, because property market is bigger than us. It will be here way after even we are here on this earth, right? The property market is much bigger than that. So at any time, I would say it's always a good time to purchase or buy property.
Yeah, very good, very good. So let's go specifically land, right? So if you look at land, somebody once told me, you know, on this planet Earth, we will always be able to build upwards, but we will not be able to keep building sidewards. What he basically meant to say with that is that land is very limited always, but it will always have its value. Do you agree with that? That land is a very specific investment that keeps its value for a very, very long time?
Definitely. Without land, there is no development, nothing can be done, and only God can produce land. You know, the rest we can manufacture, man can manufacture. So land is always key to anything. Developers till today have been contacting me and asking me on whether there's any good land bank, below market value land bank, and so forth. I can tell you at most property investors or landowners over the last 10, 15 years, they understand the value of land. Land banking is the most important thing. I think if anybody can get their hands at any time, land below market value or even at market value, they will not lose. They will not lose at all. Yeah, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah. It's quite the safe. Yeah, I also used to talk to investors. Say land is always the safest bet. They told me if it comes to investment, right? You know, what about like, industrial or building, right? You know, come to think, you know, we are going into. Some people say that we are going into a financial crisis or an economical crisis, right? What is always directly linked to businesses, you know, whatever size of business that is. Do you, over the recent weeks, already have like a lot of people that called you and said, you know, we're getting into a situation where we have to think about maybe selling off our building or selling off or because the industry is maybe, you know, shut down or they're frozen up for this period. Do you feel that there is now there is like how do you call it, that people are moving in the market, or is it completely frozen up at the moment?
I think at the moment, from my feedback that I'm getting personally, there is no real knee-jerk reaction. There are a lot of concerns. There are a lot of question marks. Obviously, everybody is affected. There's no doubt about it. You know, the whole country, the whole world is affected. But I guess everybody is still pretty positive, still pretty upbeat. No doubt, the COVID-19 situation will probably last weeks or months. You know, maybe even as how the experts has put it, maybe even a year. It may even come back yearly. It could be like H1N1 or whatever. You know. But somehow or other, I think, you know, we'll be able to overcome this. I think this is just something that happens, you know, from time to time. We just have to take all the necessary precautions. But there is definitely no knee-jerk reaction because the cause of the market situation is really about the COVID-19. So I guess everybody is still pretty positive about the situation right now.
Lionel, you seem we had a little talk before we started, right? And you seem to be very confident also with the market, right? Even though everything is going on, right? But obviously you have been in the industry for over 10 years, right? Would you maybe share with the audience right now, what is by far the greatest lesson that you have learned in the real estate so far?
We have to be very focused. We have
Very
to be very
focused.
focused. Yes. Even with the COVID-19 situation come out, we should still focus back on our work. We should find things that maybe we didn't have spent enough time earlier on. Look at it, relook at it. Just keep focusing on the work. Eventually, with the focus, it will play out when things come back to normal. And yeah, if there's one word in the last 10 years that I've realized is focus. Even I myself have gone through moments where I also dropped the ball. But now more than 10 years, it's not going to happen anymore, hopefully.
You learned your lesson, you want to say, right?
Yeah.
Well, so maybe building on that, what happens if you don't focus? What can you experience maybe like in your own experience, right? When you drop the ball, when you stop focusing, what happens?
Just like as in any business, if when today you're focused, example, in the airline industry, and tomorrow you suddenly want to go into F&B, you've completely lost all the leverage that you had, all the time that you spent, all the knowledge, experience, expertise, all that pool of contacts and network. You've got to rebuild everything all over again, you see. And rebuilding a business today is not as straightforward, because you can do everything right, but your competitors just need to do it better, that's all. And you will lose the battleground, right? So yeah, that's a lesson there on its own.
Is this also something that you specifically train your team on, that you say, hey, keep focused, keep the eye on the ball, as Yao Long always says, hold the pole, right? Keep holding the pole, whatever happens, crisis or not, you keep holding that pole. I think he even shared it yesterday in an interview, you just whatever happens, if good days, bad days, but keep that focus. Is that something you specifically also teach your team?
Of course. I think I built in the marketing strategy, to ensure that that the focus, the pace will always be there. It's not easy, but again, because my mantra has always been focus, so I build my team strategy, my marketing, all inbuilt into this. I think essentially, like I said, the team leader's role is very important. You need to really strategize for its peaks and its lows. You have to anticipate a lot of things, we just have to be on top of everything.
Yeah, very good. Maybe it's a little side question, Lionel, but what based on everything that you learn yourself, right, or what you have learned over the years, right, who is somebody that you really look up to? Is there like a big figure out there, or like a kind of an idol out there that you say, that is the person that I look up to, and that is my standard right there?
I probably would say that I have someone whom it's more like a life mentor. I'm not sure whether I should mention his name here or not, but I think I will. I think I would like to thank Mr. Warwick Singh. I met him a couple of years ago, and he's been in the industry for a long time. In fact, I think he does a lot of talks on property and all this. I consider him a good friend, a real mentor. He's been in the industry for many years. I think at least 30 years, or more. He gives me a lot of insight into life. Sometimes when I'm a little bit lost, or when my knees get a little bit weak, he puts me back in a little bit of a balance. It's nothing so much about work specific. I think it's being a life mentor. Yeah, we need that. All of us need some form of mentor in our life.
Yeah, very good.
So Mr. Warwick Singh, thank you very much.
Warwick Singh, very good. No, of course you can mention his name. That's a good thing, I mean, all our mentors should get some credit, for the help that they're giving us, right? Especially in times when things are hard, right? So let's talk a little bit about hard times, right? I can imagine that sometimes in industrial land and building, you know, you lose big deals, right? You win a lot, but you also sometimes lose also a little bit, you know, along the way. How do you deal with you know, with a loss of a big deal? What is it? Is there anything specifically that you do, how to overcome it, or do you just say, okay, I'm not bothered about it anyway?
Taco, I apologize. I couldn't get the last question. I'm having some audio problems on my end.
Okay.
I may need to leave and come back in. I can't really hear you. The last couple of
maybe
sentences.
you come. Maybe you wait a second. Are you back again?
I can hear you, but it's
very soft.
Yeah.
Can you hear me better now?
I'm still having some technical issue here.
Okay, maybe you quickly go out and then you come quickly back in again. Is that okay?
Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. So as we are waiting quickly for back again, please guys, I saw some questions yesterday and some questions before, but we're all trying to listen here. Lionel is doing some great work here at Cornerstone, so let's get in some questions. I like the question of Yalong, but if you have a question, please feel free to ask. So we're back again, Lionel. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Much better.
Yes?
Yep.
Much better again, huh? Yep. So Lionel, coming back to the question that I had, that was, you know, I can imagine in industrial land and building that you win some great deals, big deals. Sometimes I see big deals passing by at Cornerstone, but I can also imagine that sometimes you lose a big deal, right? And that can sometimes be pretty hard on you, right? Maybe how do you overcome something like that? You know, losing a big deal. How do you mentally get yourself past that moment and try to basically say, okay, that's the past, let's move forward? How do you do that?
It's always difficult to lose deals. Losing is part of our industry, you know, our line, you know. Definitely will not be able to get majority of the deals. It's something that we have to accept, you know, it's a fact. The thing that keeps us moving is that we still need to win. Whether it's small win or big wins, we just need to continue. And I think that moves everyone forward. So winning, even though it's just a little small win, it's still very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. So like you have such a strong bonding team all together, right? And how does the team help each other overcome a loss of a deal? You know, is it like, okay guys, let's have a beer together and let's just forget about it, or do you have specific like one-to-one meetings with your team and help them overcome a deal that they lost? How does a team deal with that?
The best thing is to always work on the next deal as fast as possible.
Yeah,
so
okay.
we help each other to get back on our feet really fast. So we don't drown our sorrows on just losing one deal. We move on. We have lost many deals. In fact, we also very recently lost a very big deal. You know, I wouldn't say how much is it, but it's a very big deal. No fault of ours. There were some technical issues and all this, but we just have to put that aside and just move on. So constantly on our plate, we always have something working on our plate. I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think as long as everyone works towards that. And the good part about my team is that they are all very encouraging to each other. Even sometimes when I'm not around, they take their own initiative. I think, John, you understand where I'm going. You know, they will meet up for their drinks. You know, David will make his rounds with the rest of the guys, you know, when I'm not around, you know. Yeah, so that's important. Everybody keeps each other moving. Like I said, we are like a family, you know. At times we argue. We do tend to argue, being so close and always being together. But we all know that we just want each other to actually overcome whatever issues that they are facing, you know, as much as we can help. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, Lionel, you have been in business for 10 years, right? And you manage a team of agents specifically for industrial land and building. But let's just take the whole industry market, right? Real estate agents. What do you believe should be the strongest, highest value of an agent?
Their commitment to their clients. I think the commitment to the clients, no matter what, you have to be there, you know, from A to Z. You always have to be there for your clients. They have given us a lot. They've supported us a lot. They've provided a good income to us. At the end of the day, we have to look beyond the monetary things, and we really have to give our commitment to our clients. Whether we handle listing, we are listing agent, or we are a buyer's manager, you know, our commitment to our clients are the most important. Whatever personal issues we have, we got to keep that aside. We got to be very professional, you know. At the same time, we need to listen more, empathize with our clients, be there, find a solution for them. You know, I think that would be the I've named quite numerous things, sorry, but yeah, but an agent has to be there.
Yeah. I think it's also hard to put it all into one value. I think they should have multiple values, obviously, right? But you said it, you know, their commitment to their clients is very important, right? So you get a lot of replies here, Lionel. I know you can see it, but Alan says hi, Juliana says hi, Simon says hi, Genji, they say all hi. So they're very happy to be here with you, and we hope to see you again soon, of course. But yeah, we don't see much of you because, like I said, you're mostly traveling around. Coming back to you know, the real estate business, right? Because I find it interesting, you know, when you talk to somebody that has been in the real estate for 10 years, you know, there's always this either, you know, hidden story or you know, a story that kind of goes along with you for the rest of your career, right? A very special deal or a special moment in your career, or a moment that you say, okay, this is why I am in this business. Can you recall a moment like that in your 10 years of career that you say, this was such a special moment in my business? Would you like to share that?
Possibly, maybe in the last couple of months, I think coming to mind, what would be the most special is that, you know, we always have this problem, you know, of people trying to buy their own land or their own property. And I think there was this special moment where we managed to help a group of family members who are actually farmers, who has been wanting to get their own land for the last 10, 20 years, you know, and they were never able to, not because they didn't have the money, but there was never an opportunity to. And I think when we brought that opportunity to them and we got it to click, we got it to have the result that was what they wanted. And at that moment, I think it came to light to me that there is something special in our line, where there are moments like that, where we help people materialize their dreams that they've been waiting for 20, 30 years to achieve. And for the next 99 years, the land was a leasehold land. For the next 99 years, you can feel good about yourself.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, that's really amazing. That's a great story. Absolutely. Coming back to what you started with in the beginning, right? You did that little, you know, the little charity at the beginning of the MCO. You were very active with that. You know, you grabbed that by the horns and you started working on that. Is that something inside of you that you always have to feel to help? You want to help others, you know, because you were very driven by that. Explain a little bit how that worked, how that got activated, and what was it that you did there?
I think just like everyone else, when we saw what the world was going through, you know, and how much sacrifice and commitment the frontliners were giving up, you know, their sacrifice and all this, I think we wanted, that instinct automatically came about when I had the opportunity to help them. and seeing that there's so many poor people out there, you know, that are living from paycheck to paycheck, and there was no initial government assistance, you know, which the government, you know, was starting to come through, but obviously it was early days, you know, and poor folks needed food on their table, you know. This was just something that I think all of us, not me, you know, all of us, we really want to do something, you see. No doubt sometimes we feel that our contribution is very small in this whole big mechanism, but every one of us is very important. I think even though the roles can be just making a call just to put something together, but I think we all have a feeling that we really want to do something to help back society.
Nice.
On top of that, I think our clients were also affected on the early days, and they were also kind of directionless. So I think this also gave them a little bit of purpose, stabilize everything. But I think I just have the same feeling that everyone have, is that we want to do something and give something back.
Yeah, wonderful. Great, good for you. Really, my compliments, and just a wonderful initiative that you took in there. So good for you, Lionel, and for your team. Really great. More people are coming in. Hi, Phoebe came in. Juliana, I already said hi. So the next question that I had, and actually Along also has this question. I had also. Let's look a little bit into the future, right? The future is a little bit uncertain, but still, you know, we are allowed to plan ahead. You know, there's no, you know, nothing wrong with looking a few months ahead or a year ahead, right? So I'm curious, you know, moving forward on this ILB team, right? The Industrial Land and Building team, right? What are your goals with your team? What is it that you want to grow to? What is the next plan for the next, let's say, 1 year to 3 years for your team?
I think my team have more or less stabilized, and my immediate goal is to ensure that they keep growing. They still enjoy what they do, you know, and they don't lose sight and focus of their own personal goals. I think as a team, we have very straightforward, simple goals to ensure that the business continues to be to keep growing. For me as a team leader, obviously, I would like the team to grow, but I'm one who always likes to grow to pace myself, and I have a philosophy whereby I want to make sure that all my team members are making or earning sufficiently enough. That is something that I think over the last couple of years I've spent a lot of thought on, and given a lot of focus on. And moving ahead, yeah, that's a plan for the team and myself.
Wonderful, great. That's good stuff coming again. So guys, as we are coming closely to an end, we have only a few minutes left. If you have a question for Lionel, he's here right here for you right now to answer any question you have. We're getting some questions in, but we're only going to be here for just a few more minutes. I mean, we're already talking for 50 minutes, Lionel. That stuff goes fast, huh? You know, they always say it, right? When things are, when you're having fun, time is going very fast. Okay, maybe a little bit, you know, moving. Of course, part of real estate, but you know, maybe just also a little bit in general. You know, if you would give a specific advice. You've been in real estate for 10 years, and tomorrow a new agent comes into the real estate, right? And they will come up to you and say, "Hey, Lionel, you are in real estate for 10 years. You know, can you give me some advice?" What advice would you give a young agent, a beginning agent, not specifically for industrial land or building, but just, you know, starting real estate? What advice would you give that person?
For a young agent just coming into the real estate industry, my advice has always been the same: join a good project team. I think project has a lot of organic demand. It will always be there. A a lot of developers requires sales agents. A lot of marketing tools are out there. It's a great place to start off with. You can learn a lot from doing projects. Can branch out to sub sales later on, as an option. But my singular advice for young agents would always be join a good project team. Focus on it.
That's really good. Join a project team. That is basically where you find the structure of how real estate works, right? And from then onwards, you can keep building it, right?
Yes, definitely.
Amazing. Okay, let's go to some relaxed questions. Kind of the end of the question thing, right? We talked enough about real estate. It's really great, industrial land and building. Let me just ask you something. Let me see here. Okay, this is a great question. Let's say we finish the interview, and tomorrow, you buy a lottery ticket, right? And suddenly you win 10 million ringgit. What's the next thing that you're going to do?
Semi-retirement.
Obviously,
right? Yeah, I think. I mean, if that was thrown into me, obviously I'll thank God.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, right? But I think for us, I think today our generation of people, I don't think retirement is something that we would ever go into, unless we are forced to. But semi-retirement is something that I can see myself, going into, where being, working part-time, doing something related to property, obviously, and spending more time with the family. I think that's important.
Okay, nice. Okay. Well, I'm quite sure that 10 million has you quite covered there for sure. Yeah. I think you can look at a full retirement if you really want to, but semi-retirement is also good. Yeah, for sure. Okay, very good. Other question, Lionel. I hope you don't mind me asking, but what is one thing that we don't know about Lionel yet?
One thing. Wow.
Just one thing we don't know about you yet.
I'm actually an introvert.
Interesting.
Yes, I got in the sales line at a very early age, but it was kind of forced to, at 19. But I've always actually been an introverted person. I prefer reading. Reading books has always been a passion of mine. I used to read at least a book a month. Lots of books. I like philosophical books.
Nice.
Read a lot on people, on what they do, their life experiences. I think when I have the time next day, I will want to go back to my reading as well again.
Oh, nice. So now you don't have that much time for the reading, I guess, huh?
Only reading legal matters.
Yeah, different type of reading. Well, then that brings me to a question. Like you say psychological books, right? But let's go to the little bit more the normal books. What book would you advise to our audience right now?
I like inspirational people. So I would advise reading on who you think your hero could be, or who's your hero. It could be someone in any industry. It could be someone, casino owners, any business owners or whatever. It could be on Jack Ma or whatever, I think whenever I feel a little bit negative, or I need something just to uplift my spirit, I think I like to read about them. Maybe, seeing how their adversity that they go through, it pales in comparison with ours sometimes, right? Our own, pales in comparison with theirs. Sorry. And I think reading those books really will sometimes tell us, what we're going through is really nothing, Yeah.
Very good. Very nice.
Read on someone. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I have two final questions for you, because you mentioned the introvert, and then I always have the standard last question, but the introvert, right? I believe that both introverts and extroverts can be great salespeople, right? So I'm happy you are in sales, right? But definitely, you know, as an introvert, it can be a little bit more challenging in the sales line, right? Because there's just a lot of communication skills there, right? But what do you believe as an introvert has as a true strength within the sales line? What does an introvert bring to the table within the sales industry that you feel is really important?
Sometimes we just don't only talk, we also listen.
Yeah, I thought you would say that, yeah.
It's important. Listening is important, especially when you do something about it. I think a lot of people tend to listen, but it doesn't really resonate in them. It comes in one ear and it goes out the other ear. I think that is really pointless at the end of the day. We do need to listen carefully, and also act on it. We would like to think ourselves as perfect, but actually we are not. And a lot of the people around us, our family members, our spouse, our children, our team members, our clients, you know, listen to them, because there's always something of value to help us to become better. And most important, listen and act on it.
Yeah. Introverts definitely are good listeners, yeah, and act on it. Wonderful. Okay, Lionel, that brings me to a last question for this evening. But before I ask that question, I first want to thank you for being with us this evening. I'm so, you know, actually, when in Cornerstone, I know that your desk is very close to where I also sometimes sit, right? But you're never there because you're always outside. So I'm just so happy that we can catch up for a while, and I'm just really happy to see that you're healthy and that you're doing well. So good for you. You are an amazing inspiration for many people, managing a team like that and doing such amazing deals. So good for you. Very good. Thank you again for being with us here tonight, Lionel. So, and also thanks to our audience for being here, but not before we ask that last question that we usually ask Lionel. If I would sponsor you a huge billboard that we would put next to one of the busiest highways in Malaysia, and you would be allowed to put a message on that billboard, what message would it be?
I think I would like to put out a message that ask everyone to give back to one another. Because when that happens, everybody gives and receives. I think that was a message that I would like to put out. I think this world will become a better place if we do that.
So much agree with you. Really, really nice. Good, strong message. Short but very powerful. Give back. And we had a session once not so long ago. Vibrational giving. Give back and keep giving back. And if the whole world would just do that, we will all be okay, right? Yes. Okay, thank you so much, Lionel, for being with us this evening. It was a great pleasure and it was an honor having you on board. That means that we will be closing for this evening. It was a great honor again, Lionel, to be with us today. Good night and good luck to you with everything.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great evening and see you next time for a very amazing and wonderful new session. Tomorrow we'll be back again at 8 p.m. and we have a really great lineup for the rest of the week. Have a great Saturday evening and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.